Hare Krishna. Continuing with our discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text 4 onwards. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirye Nashtaprayesha Bhadresha Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So in fact this fourth verse is the one that we chant every day before reciting Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita. It is this verse, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyat. This Sut Goswami is speaking before he started to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So translation is, before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So before even reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, one should pay obeisances unto everybody, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being. Narayan Rishi considered supermost human beings, unto Mother Saraswati, goddess of learning, and Srila Vyasadeva himself, because he is the author. Then we get the blessings to even speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. All the Vedic literatures and Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. So what's the darkest region of material existence? It's not where there is no electricity or something like that, but where there is no light of knowledge. And Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the topmost knowledge to conquer the darkest region of material existence. The living being is in the state of forgetfulness of his relationship with God due to his being overly attached to material sense gratification since time immemorial. So since time immemorial, we're trying to gratify these senses. So what happens is, in this body, I get some senses, some are developed, some are not so developed. So I try to gratify those, I try to satisfy my senses, but obviously I cannot satisfy all the senses all the time to the fullest extent possible. So then I take a next body because some desires are unfulfilled, desires are left. So I take a next body, so depending upon whichever body I get, I try to fulfill those senses desires. But again, some desires are left unfulfilled. So again, I get a body. Again, I go through the same thing, same process, same procedure all over again. And this is what Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto when we read about Prahlad Maharaj. This is chewing the chewed. Punah punah charvit charvananam. Means we are trying to chew the chewed, trying to satisfy the senses, same senses. It's exactly the same. 5 knowledge acquiring, 5 working, and 11th, on top of it is the mind. Every person, every living entity has the same senses. Their consciousness is different, so they try to enjoy it differently, but exactly the same senses. So this is what we are trying to achieve in the material world, trying to enjoy the senses differently in different species of life, in different incarnations whenever we get a new body. And this is what Prahlad Maharaj says, we are trying to chew the chewed. Means once we try to enjoy the senses, didn't work out. Next body we get, we again try to enjoy, it will not work out. Next body we again get, we'll try to again gratify the senses, enjoy them. If it didn't work out for so many millions of lifetimes, it will not work out even now. And it will not work out in the future. But But the material world is like that. We are trying to conquest these senses. Not gonna happen. Even Hiranyakashipu, when he called Prahlad Maharaj, what is the best thing you studied in the school? And Prahlad Maharaj could have said, I studied math or economics or whatever the subject matter. But he said, I studied that we cannot be happy in this material world. Why? Because sada samudvigna dhyam asadgrihat. Means our senses, or we are trying to enjoy this asat. Asat means non-true, which is temporary body, and sada samudvigna, we are always disturbed. A person will always be disturbed. But this is the nature of material world. If he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must re-establish his eternal relationship with God. That's the only way a soul, a jiva, can be happy. And one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelters of literature such as Vedas and the Puranas. Foolish people say that Puranas have no connection with the Vedas. However, the Puranas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas intended for different types of men. All men are not equal. Like other day we were also discussing. The different men, different categories, different consciousness, different levels. So Ved Vyasji has given so many scriptures, so everybody can read them, everybody can try to follow them and make progress gradually. But Srimad Bhagavatam is a topmost literature. Although it's considered, it comes in the category of Purana. Purana means historical stories. So it comes in the category of Purana, but it's a Amala Purana. Amala means no fault at all. Nobody can find any fault in Srimad Bhagavatam. There are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle for existence. So idea is to get out of this hard struggle for existence that we all are struggling in. Srila Sutta Goswami shows the ways of chanting the Puranas. This may be followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of the Vedic literature and the Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana and is especially meant for those who desire to get out of the material entanglement permanently. So that is Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the aim, objective of Srimad Bhagavatam, to take us out of this material entanglement, material world permanently. So all we have to do is hear it, listen it with attention. That's all. And then Sutta Goswami says, text 5, Munya sadhu prishto aham bhavadbhir lok mangalam yat kritah krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidhati. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna, and so are the relevance of the world's welfare, and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. So Goswami was very happy with the questions that were put forward by these sages, that because your questions are related to Lord Krishna, so they are very, very worthy, and because they're in relevance to world's welfare. They're not asking questions just for their own welfare. But as I said, if any spiritual meeting, if a question is asked of spiritual relevance, spiritual benefit, so it benefits everybody, speaker, the person who is asking, and the whole audience. So that's why, and Sutta Goswami says, only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Other kinds of questions, everybody is asking questions whole day. Even Prabhupada once mentioned, even the birds, when they get up in the morning, they start asking questions. Where's the food? Where's the food? Where's the food? Of course, they are asking in their own language. We cannot understand. We just feel, oh, they're chirping, birds are chirping nicely. But what are they chirping? What are they talking? Where is food? Where is food? Where is food? So everybody's asking questions. And then Prabhupada says, and men are always also asking questions when they go in the morning. Okay, what was the score in the cricket game last night? How's the stock market doing? And whatever. Whole day the questions are going on. But what are the right questions to talk? What are the right questions to ask? Are questions related to Krishna. Because that will completely satisfy the self. Prabhupada writes in the purport, the whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers, and in the evening also, the same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. So in the evening, when they come back, the kids ask them, okay, daddy, where did you go? Mommy, where did you go? What did you bring for us? Where's the food? How are we going to eat? How are we going to sleep? I'm pretty sure they're asking in their own language, which we can't understand. But Srila Prabhupada has different vision, so he could understand. The businessmen in the market are busy with questions and answers, and so also the lawyers in the court and the students in the schools and colleges. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. This is what the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam is, that only if it is related to Krishna, that can satisfy the soul. Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father, or son, and object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of question and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. So this Sutta Goswami says, Yen Atma Suprasidati, means it completely satisfies the self. Because this is what the soul is hankering for. But because we are in this material body, we have so many body relationships, body duties. So we ask questions pertaining to this body, pertaining to the well-being of this body, pertaining to the relationships of this body. But these questions and answers does not satisfy the soul, because soul is related to Krishna. So anything related to Krishna, when we ask and when we get answered, that's what satisfies. And next verse, Sutta Goswami says, Savai punsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radhokshaje ahatukiya pratihata yayatma suprasidati. Actually, the second chapter of first canto, all the verses are very, very important. So this verse, it says, the supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. The supreme occupation. So dharma is not just a religion, that's what we say. It's an occupation, occupational duty, or something, or the constitutional position of something that one cannot be separated from. For example, Prabhupada has explained somewhere that dharma of sugar is sweetness. If sugar is not sweet, means it's not sugar. It has lost its, or it has abandoned its dharma. Dharma of a chili is its pungency. It has to be pungent. It has to be what they call tikha. Otherwise, it's not chili. So similarly, the dharma of the soul. So there has to be dharma of the soul also. So dharma of the soul is to serve the Supreme Lord. That's all. In what way, form, those are details. But dharma is to serve. Just because we identify ourselves with the body, so we serve the body and the body relationships and anything attached, anything connected with the body. But the dharma of the soul is to serve the Supreme Lord. So the supreme occupation dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Sarvai punsam paro dharma. Paro means the topmost dharma, or beyond this material world. Para is to serve. Paradharma yato bhaktir adhokshaje. So what is a paradharma? Topmost dharma is the bhaktir of adhokshaja. Now Krishna's name is called Adhokshaja here. Adhokshaja, we have to understand what's the meaning of Adhokshaja. It has, this word is made of combination of many different words. Adh, aksh, ja. Aksh means eyes, or aksh also means senses. Ja means if you can reach that place by our senses. Adh, aksh, ja means adh means below. So by our senses, we can only reach a place which is even below that person who's called Adhokshaja. So Krishna is Adhokshaja, means by our senses, by our endeavors, we can only reach a place which is below Krishna. Not even Krishna we can reach by our senses. So how can we reach Krishna? By His mercy. When He is merciful upon us, He can let us reach Him. Otherwise, He is called Adhokshaja. And so the supreme occupation is loving devotional service unto that Lord, who is Adhokshaja, means who is unreachable by our own blunt material senses. And what kind of devotional service it should be? Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted. Ahatuki apratihata yayatma su prasidati. Means unmotivated, not with any material motivation. That I'll do this bhakti, I'll serve you, Supreme Lord, but in return I want this, and we give him a big shopping list. That doesn't please him. Of course, he doesn't still mind. Krishna is so merciful. He says, okay, even if you have to ask for something material, come to me. At least then he gets pleased that at least this person came to me. He did not go anywhere else. Slowly, he will purify our consciousness, purify the desires. That's a different story. But he gets pleased by that. But the real bhakti is when we serve him unmotivatedly and then uninterruptedly also. Uninterrupted means not just on Sundays only, or not just on whenever I have time. No, it should be uninterrupted. It's a devotional service. It's service out of love. And when that service is out of love, it cannot have any interruption. It cannot have any break or any gap, anything. Uninterrupted. This is what completely satisfies the self. Because senses, if we look at our senses are always demanding for service, always demanding for gratification. They will not stop at any time. So if we are engaged in the service of our senses uninterruptedly, and which will not please us, which will not satisfy us, so similarly, if we engage in the service of Krishna uninterruptedly, that will completely satisfy the self. And at the same time, it will satisfy the senses also. The real process of satisfying the senses, or real process of making the senses, pleasing the senses is if we please the soul. If the soul is pleased, then outward bodies will definitely be pleased. Just for example, Prabhupada always used to give example of 6 Goswamis. Although the 6 Goswamis, when we read the stories, read their life history, they're all big people, different. Materially, they were all very big, very opulent, very successful persons. But when they left everything for the sake of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they came to Vrindavan. They were living under different tree every night. They didn't, many times, they were not even living in a hut or in a room. And they won't even live under the same tree. Why? They thought that they might get attached to that tree. And hardly they were eating, hardly they were sleeping. Sleeping was only for maybe half an hour or 1 hour, 1.5 hours every day. But every day, whole day, throughout the day, they were engaged in bhakti. They're chanting the holy names, or writing books, or counseling people, Brajvasis, like Sanatana Goswami is considered father of all the Brajvasis, because every Brajvasi would go and ask him about their material life, about their life, how it is working, what are the problems they're facing, and Sanatana Goswami would happily give them counseling. Or they were paying obeisances to the deities, or they were serving the deities. So practically 24 hours a day, they were serving, they were engaged in the service. In result, what happened was they were completely satisfied. Their body, the senses, they were also completely satisfied. The senses, the owner of the senses is Krishna. Krishna is Rishikesh. So if Krishna is pleased, he can give pleasure to the senses also. The 6 Goswamis were hardly eating, just like there's a story of Raghunath Das Goswami. It was, he was living at Radhakund, and it was said that he would eat, how much he would eat? Every other day, not even every day, every other day, some buttermilk in a dona, in a cup made of a leaf. A leaf was also very small leaf. That's all he would have every other day. And he was completely happy. He was paying obeisances to the Vaishnavas 1,000 times a day. He was paying obeisances to the deities 2,000 times a day. He was chanting so many rounds, 64 rounds. He was writing books. So many things he was doing. So how is it possible? Just by eating little bit of buttermilk or drinking little bit of buttermilk every other day, he didn't need anything else. Why? Because his soul was satisfied. When the soul is satisfied, the outside body will definitely get satisfied. Our process these days is to satisfy the senses, try to satisfy the body, and we think by satisfying the body, the soul will be happy. But soul can never be happy like that. That's why there is so much of frustration, so much of depression, so many problems in the society. And coming back to Raghunath Das Goswami, once Raghunath Das Goswami was sick. He was lying on the floor, and the other Brajvasis came. They called a doctor, and doctor came. He checked his pulse, and doctor said he has eaten kheer, not just little kheer. He has eaten lots of kheer. That's why his stomach got upset. And all the Brajvasis around him, they were shocked. This Baba eats every other day little buttermilk, and you're saying he ate kheer, and not just little bit kheer, lots of it. How is it possible? Where did the kheer come from? But the doctor said, no, his pulse shows he has eaten kheer. That's why he got upset stomach. So they asked Raghunath Das Goswami, what is this doctor talking about? Raghunath Das Goswami said, actually, he is right. But what had happened was, I was doing mental service, Manas Seva to Radha Krishna, and Radha Krishna had just finished their Ras Leela. So mentally, I made kheer and offered it to them. It was all going on in the mental world, inner world. And once they were satisfied with the kheer, mentally only, I tasted that kheer to my full satisfaction. It was mental eating. And he got so satisfied that in physical body, his stomach got upset. This is spiritual world. So if the soul is satisfied, of course, we don't want everybody to get upset stomach, so don't eat that much kheer. So eat little bit of kheer, even if you offer mentally. But wait. Somebody's mic got on. I have to mute him. So this is the process. And Prabhupada is writing, material existence is temporary, illusory, and full of miseries. There is no happiness at all. There is just the futile attempt to get rid of the miseries, and temporary cessation of misery is falsely called happiness. The happiness in this material world is basically temporary cessation. Temporarily, for time being, some miseries get stopped and we say, oh, I'm very happy. I'm very happy. And then Prabhupada, although he writes wonderful purport on this, so you please read that. I cannot read the whole thing. We have purposely denoted dharma as occupation because the root meaning of the dharma is that which sustains one's existence. Krishna is the central pivot of living beings, and he is the all-attractive living entity or eternal, all-attractive living entity or eternal form amongst all other living beings or eternal forms. Each and every living being has his eternal form in the spiritual existence, and Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the eternal attraction. It's not like he will become an attraction once we go back. No. Is eternally center of attraction for all of us. It just, we have forgotten it. That's all. Krishna is a complete whole and everything else is his part and parcel. The relation is one of servant and the served. Of course, in what mood we serve, that is different. Radharani serves him in the mood of conjugal love. Yashoda Maya serves him in the mood of vatsal, parental love. This relation of servant and served is the most congenial form of intimacy. One can realize it as devotional service progresses. Everyone should engage himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, even in the present conditioned state of material existence. That will gradually give one the clue to actual life and please him to complete satisfaction. So even if we are in the conditioned state of material existence, we should keep on serving him, and this is only that will give us complete satisfaction. So I'll stop here, ask anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you just said that Sanatana Goswami was satisfied by having a mental speculation that in whatever he offered to Krishna, he also got the prasadam, and that is how he had his senses were satisfied, the hunger senses. Is it so that in the sense gratification that we are talking about is mental rather than the physical one?
First of all, it was Raghunath Das Goswami who had that experience. And secondly, it wasn't mental speculation. You used the word mental. It wasn't mental speculation. He offered it in his mind. He prepared the wonderful kheer in his mind and he offered it to Radha and Krishna. He was, when they prepare in the mind, they are in those pastimes. They're realizing those pastimes with Radha Krishna are enacting. And they are looking at it, they're realizing it, and they offer it in the mental body or in the inner world, you can say that. And it becomes physically, of course, it is real, but in this material world also it becomes manifested. That's all.
Okay.
So the sense gratification question that you asked, here we are trying in the physical world, we're trying to enjoy the senses or satisfy the senses.
Okay.
But if they're not connected with the inner world, then it will not satisfy the soul.
It is not satisfy the soul. Yeah.
It will never satisfy the soul.
Yes.
Just like, for example, since you're a good singer and you like to sing a lot, we've heard during the yatras. So if soul was satisfied with one movie song, why there are so many movie songs they prepare every day? Because we will not get satisfied with one movie song. We have to keep on changing. But Hare Krishna Mahamantra is still the same. It's the same song. People have been singing, chanting, dancing on it with different tunes,
Yeah.
but same song, and we get satisfied.
True. True, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so
You
much.
will. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Radha Prabhu.
You were telling that mental speculation and mental offering, which is Goswami did, was different. So what I try to find out is, when we are doing mental speculation, we are just thinking very fast. And when we are mentally offering, when we are involved in the past and mental state, we are actually going into the details. Is it so?
See, mental speculation is what we do because we are not at that level of realizations. Of course, if even I won't say speculation, but in our infancy stage of realizations, even if we offer something mentally to Radha Krishna, they'll still accept it because they know where we stand. Of course, in this stage, we cannot say, "Oh, I have tasted that kheer or whatever offering, and I am satisfied." We cannot imitate Raghunath Das Goswami. We cannot imitate such a person. But the idea is, yes, Radha Krishna, the spiritual world is not just, I mean, physically we do, at the mental level, or etheric body level, or other level also we can serve. And they are as good as offering the other way. But we have to come to that level. We cannot imagine or speculate, as you use the right word, speculate. We cannot speculate things. So in infancy, we can offer, that's okay, they'll accept. In fact, just to tell you a wonderful incident, I believe it was in Australia, and beginning days of ISKCON, devotees were very enthusiastic. Of course, they are still enthusiastic. Devotees are very enthusiastic. And they were doing book distribution on the streets, prashadam distribution, and they got caught by police. So police took them to jail, put them in prison. And the court cases were going on, trial was going on. And these devotees, the bunch of them, I believe 8 or 10 of them, even in the jail, they were very happy. Of course, whatever the jail authority was giving them, they were not eating that. So now they said, we are in the jail, what to do? Either we can be miserable or we can still be happy. They chose to be happy. They were in the jail and the different festivals came according to the calendar. So they were celebrating Krishna Janmashtami. How to celebrate Janmashtami? They didn't have anything. Authorities wouldn't give them anything, any facilities, any supplies. In their mind, of course, they were enacting like, okay, Prabhu, you make the samosas. Okay, Prabhu, you make halwa. Okay, Prabhu, you do this decoration. They were just talking and they were enacting like they're doing all these things. In the process, they engaged the other prisoners also. Prisoners were thinking, these guys are lunatics. These guys are nuts. What are they talking? What? Oh, then, why don't you come help me in rolling these chapatis? What chapatis? Where is the flour? Where is the dough? Oh, it's right here. You cannot see. Just help me. And they were engaging other prisoners. And they had wonderful time. There was whatever Prabhupada had taught them, whatever they had learned so far, they just enacted Janmashtami, other festivals. And then the jail authorities said, these guys are more happy in the jail than outside. Better get them out of here. Kick them out of the jail. And those devotees, I haven't spoken with them, but I've heard that those devotees, after they got out of the jail and many years later, they said, those were the best days of Krishna consciousness that we spent when we were in the jail, when we didn't have any facility. Those were the best days because we were fully Krishna conscious. So Krishna accepts the service and the soul can be pleased.
Yes, Prabhu.
And somebody just made, in imagination, he made the deities of Radha Krishna and he was dressing the deities. Somebody was doing the arati, was setting up the puja thali, because this is all they knew. That's all they knew. They didn't know anything except beyond this. So they were enjoying. And I'm pretty sure Krishna was accepting the offering. Krishna was accepting the service. So I guess we should stop here. Somebody's hand is up. No. Okay, thank you all very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.